Okay, friends, so have you been feeling the funk, the weird energy, the weird things going on? You're not alone. It's the astrology. So let's discuss it. Okay, so we're going to start with what happened yesterday. So Saturn moved into Aries yesterday. So the planet of karma, responsibility, duty, discipline moved into action-oriented Aries. We are being asked to take responsibility. We are being asked to take action in spaces that perhaps we haven't really been moving forward in, particularly because Saturn is moving out of Pisces. Pisces can be very dreamy, very mystical, but also can be a little confusing at times, can lead to some escapism as well. So there wasn't really a whole lot of forward movement with that. So now we're being asked to take action and move forward. Saturn is not alone in Aries, okay, because Neptune moved into Aries at the end of last month. Neptune is connected to our intuition, idealism. It's also connected to our imagination. And this one also moved out of Pisces into Aries. So again, we're finding this action, okay? Action in spaces perhaps we have felt lost in, we felt confused in, or we felt unsure of. And I mean, really, if we take a look at our world, we are seeing so many more people stand up and trying to figure out how they can take action to help others, how we can take action to, stand up for others as well as ourselves. Do y'all remember July? July was when we got a sneak peek of what this energy is going to look like for each of us. I remember July to be a shit show. Yes. In July, Saturn and Neptune both moved into Aries, but then during their retrograde period, retrograded back into Pisces. Okay, so now that they have both moved into Aries, they're going to stay there for a few years. Neptune longer than Saturn, of course. So really reflect back on July. What came up for you? What lessons were you forced to face? Of course, look at your chart and see where this is going to be highlighted for you by looking at where Aries sits in your chart. You can kind of see what themes you're going to be facing, where boundaries are going to take place, where you might see some karmic ties, where you're going to be asked to trust your intuition, where you are going to have to really figure out how your ideals, how your concepts, how your beliefs are changing. And a couple of days ago, we also moved into Mercury retrograde shadow period. Yes. Now, Mercury doesn't officially go retrograde until early morning on the 26th if you are in Eastern time like me, but we're already feeling the effects. Y'all, I went out that day, okay? I went out the first day of the shadow period because my calculations were off in my head, okay? The post office scale would not work. Tried the next window and their computer didn't want to work either. I went to the grocery store and that computer system didn't want to work either. So yeah, we can be expecting some tech issues. Don't text your ex, okay? And if your ex texts you, remember why you fucking left them, okay? Think before you speak, okay? Communication breakdowns, things like that can happen with Mercury being retrograde. Mercury will be going direct on March 20th. So this is going to be a time of review, of revision, of rethinking things, giving ourselves time to think about things before jumping in. Not only that, my friends, we also are entering eclipse season, as if the other things weren't enough, right? So our first eclipse is going to be a solar eclipse, and it is going to be happening on the 17th. Check out my newsletter, and I'll be posting the video for that probably on Monday. But I already put out the newsletter and the videos in the newsletter, so, check Substack. You know where to look for that, yeah? And that solar eclipse is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. I like to think of eclipses like bookends. We have one that opens and one that closes. Our closer is going to happen on March 3rd. That's going to be a lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. Of course, we'll be diving in deeper into that as we get closer, okay, in the newsletter and the video and all that. But generally speaking, okay, I'm thinking of this new moon solar eclipse as this time to really be thinking of how we can best show up, not only for ourselves, but for the collective. What changes do we need to be making in our world to make our world a better place? And we can be setting intentions, manifesting for that. If you work with eclipse energy, of course. I know not everybody does. And then with the Virgo lunar eclipse, we're going to be releasing the things that are not practical, the things that are not doable. We're going to be bringing all of the airy thought energy down to earth. Did I hit stop at 444? Regardless of whether you work with this energy or not, eclipses are known to be very powerful, chaotic times. Chances are you're already feeling that, right? But this can also be a time of setting things right, if that makes sense. This can be a time of getting back on track, universally guided changes. Kind of like pulling the tower card, you know? Sometimes we don't move unless we receive a push. Sometimes we need that lightning strike to the dome, so to speak. This really does feel, all of this, okay, all of this feels like getting out of a rut that we have been comfortable in for entirely too long. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm fucking here for it. And shortly after eclipse season officially kicks off, okay, we also have Saturn conjoining with Neptune. This is going to add to the vibes here that we've already discussed. Things that were not built to last are going to crumble. We can look forward to, and I say that lightly, of course, disillusionment, but it feels like disillusionment with a purpose, if that makes sense. We can look forward to structural shifts. It really does feel like seeing the truth in things, seeing the truth in things that we have been living in a lie. And as things crumble, as things fall away, try your best not to hold on to them or try to grab for them. I firmly believe that the truth will set us free, to be totally cliche, but it's true. As you continue to see your truth, as you continue to watch things dissolve, to watch things crumble, as painful as that can be, find joy in finally seeing what's real, finally seeing what's true. And y'all, all of this coming around the time of the Lunar New Year, moving into the year of the fire horse. Now is the time to stand, to speak, and to take action. Honestly, whenever I was looking at this year, February is one of the, I'm gonna call it chaotic, I'm gonna call it explosive months, as well as towards the end of the year, but we'll get into that later. Let's just stay present as much as we can, right? Either way, I know this was long, so thank you all for staying here with me with this. If you want to know more about how this is going to impact you individually, you can take a look at your chart and look at the signs that I spoke of in this video and see where they sit in your chart. I also do private readings for this. Reach out, let me know. Let's get you on the books. Let's get this all discussed, okay? Because this feels like a big, important time for us right now. And I would love to dive in and help you see what's coming, help you prepare for what's coming up in your life. Because it doesn't necessarily take the sting out, but it does help you be ready. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I will see y'all next time. Please know that you're not alone in this. We will navigate this together, friends.